Hey there, thanks very much for your order and using my Bass Hunter services essentially for this Bossa UJB5. So these are very rare, but for some reason this year um, I've already had, uh, what is this? I think this is the third one through this year in 2022. Um, So I'm not sure what's going on there because there have been like 2 years where I've seen no UJB models whatsoever anywhere. So I don't know why. And I'm going to do a little sound test before. It's a pre-shipment sound test video. Um, but I've injured my index finger, so I'm not. It hurts a little bit when I play, so I'm not really on form. But anyway, yeah. So these are very rare, and they command much higher prices than they used to on the used market as they become more and more in demand. Um, so if you do want one, there's probably going to take a long time to source one, or you're probably going to have to pay a lot of money on the used market from somebody who does own one and is selling it. Um, I know I've certainly served a lot of customers in the USA for UJBs over the past 5 6 years or so. Um, I think but it's not that many. It's probably only about seven um, sales of UJB5 that I've made in all that time. Um, that's how sort of infrequent it is. Um, and of course, there are other models like the OBJ and the OB5, and those, they have the same circuitry, but they don't have the same body shape. Like people want this because it's got a jazz body shape, um, and yeah, it's a nice look, that's for sure. And this one is in nice condition. Um, I'd say it's probably B plus for the year. It had an ugly rosewood ramp on it, which the grain was going the wrong way, and it was sort of like homemade job. Um, so I've made a quilt maple ramp for it, um, which is not exactly the same as the pickup wood, but it's kind of close. But it's a little bit more figured than the pickups would, but it matches at least. Um, so that's something. And actually, I improved the rosewood ramp and will enclose that with the base as well. So what I did was I laminated um, the rosewood with another layer of rosewood, but with the grain going in the correct direction, so that it looks more like the fretboard. Um, so that's coming with the base as well. If you want it, you can install it. It's just done with double-sided sticky tape, and underneath the pickguard, as detailed in the photographs that I sent, the previous owner had drilled holes um, and had done a sort of slightly ugly job of it. They're a little bit bigger than necessary, and yeah, I tried to do some art with it and try and hide them, but it's not really doing it justice. So it just looks a lot better with a ramp um, over it. Um, and I think this one looks better than the rosewood one anyway. So that's that. And it's freshly strung. I always service every instrument that I send out of service and set it up. So on this one, On this one, it had a bridge. It wasn't the original bridge, and it wasn't really ideal for this bass. The previous owner had obviously changed the bridge over, yeah, the original bridges that they use are these, which is the Gotto 203B 5-string version, and I got one in. I had one rather, luckily, in black. So that's perfect. That's all original spec now, and the knobs as well. They hadn't. They put on these glossy, sort of cheap black knurl knobs, and they hand drilled the dots. It didn't look very good to me. I'm a bit OCD with things like that. So what I've done is this is a brand new set of tune knobs, and of course for those of you who are Japanese bass aficionados, you might know that tune are actually responsible for making bossa back in the day. They helped Setsuza Toshio, who's passed on now, by the way. They helped him with the construction of his basses and supply of preamps. So the preamp in the bossa is pretty much the same as the tune preamp. It's just that they have this slap switch function on the bossa, which this is in. So that was the slap switch on. That's with the slap switch on, and that's just everything at notch on the preamp. If I go bass and treble boosted, woo! Oh my god, it's so powerful. There's a lot of room on there. And the slap switch, what it does is when you're pan to the rear pickup, it gives you the outermost coils. And then when you pan to the front pickup, it gives you the innermost coils. So it changes the tone. So yeah, you can hear that. It gets kind of bigger and wider when panned to the rear, and a little bit more focused when panned to the front, and then balanced, it's just normal. So when you switch when it's in balanced position, you switch the slap mode switch, it doesn't change. It just changes when you're on front or rear. And then in normal mode, of course, rear pickup is rear pickup. Ow! My finger's hurting. So that's rear pickup, that's with bass and treble slightly boosted, and the mid at notch. There's a lot of scope on the mid range there. If we cut the bass a bit and put the treble at notch, you just have the mid pull up. Get this rude. Get this rude rear pickup sound. this is probably optimal setup for the B string as well. You've got about 1 millimeter on the G string, then very gradually getting a little bit higher, and we're at about 1.5 on the B string there. That's nice. Lots of tonal scope. It's overloading the poor little PJB. You know, I haven't even been able to boost the bass fully. But yeah, it's working very nicely. I had to I had to resolder and improve the connections on the slap switch, because that was a little bit, the wires were coming off a little bit, and um, the solder was cracking and starting to fall off. So that's why the slap switch wasn't working very well initially when I received it. But yeah, this is really a superb instrument, and I can see why, like, a lot of the customers that I've had for this particular model, and also for Cruise Maniac as well, have been on the gospel circuit in the United States. And I can see why. I mean, both the Bossa and the Cruise offer a sound that is very suited to what they do, you know, which is great, because I love that. I really love that scene, and I love the music. And there's some of the players are just amazing players. So it's a real honor to be able to have basses going out into that scene. So thank you for that. Thank you to my customers on the circuit there. Yeah. So anyway, this is all good. Everything's working. That's the purpose really of these videos, is to show customers that everything is working. Yeah. And playing order is good. Yeah. So the other thing that I did to service this was I had to take the neck off and grease the truss, because oftentimes the fit is so tight with the truss nut. I actually put in a different truss nut on this one, just one that gives you a little bit more. It's a little bit easier to access, because this one was the previous one was quite short, so I put in a longer type. So it's easier to access from this truss access route here. And of course the tools come with it too. I provide the tools and a care guide, which tells you basically basic steps in setup for your bass, especially when you unpack it and it's arrived, acclimatization, what truss adjustment might be needed when you get the bass. But as it's shipping out at this setup, which is really nice, low action, with minimal relief, it's really optimal in my opinion. And yeah, it's shipping out like that. By the way, just for your information, this has the shallow type locks on it, so I don't have it didn't come with the actual strap portion that goes over these, that slips over these pins. But if you have that, that's probably optimal. Otherwise they'll work with a normal strap anyway without the locks. But of course it's better if you have them. So that's it. I think I've covered everything. So thanks again for watching, guys, And if you do want one of these, follow the link below in the description. Cheers for now.